Hey everyone, me Kevin here with new information directly from the White House on a possible flurry of additional stimulus. Stay tuned for exactly this in this video. I'll also be covering updates from Senator Chuck Schumer, who gave us his expectations for the future of this stimulus relief negotiation. And earlier today, I mentioned that the vaccine trial with AstraZeneca was paused due to a patient falling ill. I have an update on the condition of that patient. Also, remember the big Labor Day week coupon for the courses is linked down below. Get one free stock when you deposit $100 with Webull as well. And of course, get life insurance within as little as 5 minutes. All of those links are down below. Let's go ahead and start with the executive action. So I've got a flow chart that I put together here to make this nice and easy and swift for us. So there are two parts to this. Part number one, we're going to talk stimulus checks, and part number two, we're going to talk about other executive actions. Then we'll talk about Chuck Schumer, and then we'll talk about the vaccine. So Stephen Moore, White House insider, he said that Obama redirected money to protect young immigrants from deportation, and possibly this creates a precedent for Donald Trump to do his own flurry of executive actions, redirecting money the way he sees fit. Remember, the president can't spend money, but in theory now, it looks like maybe the president can redirect money that was spent but not used yet. That is, it's already been allocated but not used yet. And so the first thing, and this is just part one, we're gonna get to part two with the more new information here. The first thing is that on Friday, we heard Donald Trump threaten to redirect $300 billion directly to stimulus checks to provide direct payments to Americans. We know that all parties find this politically advantageous. We know Democrats want it. We know the president wants it and Republicans want it. If Donald Trump does this unilaterally, it takes that away from Democrats, and Trump just made it happen. Probably going to be popular with all of us receiving the checks because finally we would have gotten them. Not going to be so great for Democrats. But anyway, Donald Trump believes that he might be able to take $300 billion from what's left in this economic stabilization fund, which here's sort of a breakdown of what that fund was for when it was approved in the CARES Act. And he thinks he could take $300 billion out of the $454 billion loan program left over that's been allocated to the Treasury but not used. Now, we believe that stimulus checks are going to cost somewhere between $240 to $250 billion. That would leave an extra $60 to $50 billion around. And so we've been wondering, where might that money go? Well, notice here, I put a question mark, airlines and unemployment. Stay tuned on that. Now, if we get stimulus checks, we'll likely see $1,200 for filers, same as last time, and $500 for dependents. I personally believe, and this is not me taking sides, it's just saying, because the Republican Party is not interested in ITIN filers receiving stimulus checks, they will probably be excluded. Don't shoot the messenger. Just saying, if it's done through executive action, that would not surprise me. Now, let's go on to the other things that can be done. An unemployment boost, airline money, and money for school vouchers. These are the three things that reporters are talking about right now as possible additional executive actions from Donald Trump. And think about it. The last unemployment boost was done by redirecting about $40 to $44 billion from FEMA's money. Well, wait a minute. If stimulus checks cost $240 billion and we have 300 sitting in an account, check this math out. 60 left. Let's go ahead and give that 60 for another 5 weeks of unemployment pay. So let's call that 40 billion. And how about the airline industry getting 20 billion? And the people get their stimulus checks. See how this could get divided up if he decides to go with this. Now, right now, it looks like there's a lot of talk between reporters and White House insiders that this is exactly what could happen. The reason is Donald Trump is getting increasingly frustrated that Congress isn't getting anything done. In addition, Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to fix the payroll tax cut problem. That has been a big campaign piece for Donald Trump, that he wants to waive payroll taxes, but he can't get them forgiven until Congress acts. That's the problem. So, trying to figure out how to make this happen without Congress is up in the air right now, and we don't have any kind of speculation on that. All we have right now, in addition to this new information, are quotes, and then I want to get into what Chuck Schumer said, which was very interesting, and then we're going to get into the vaccine. All right, so will a bill happen at all? Here were some responses to will a bill happen at all. Mnuchin says, I don't know, we'll see. I hope so. It's important to a lot of people out there. McConnell says, we'll see. Donald Trump says, we'll see if they, aka Congress, figure it out first. And this was in the same vein as him threatening to send stimulus checks. And then he said, quote, "and we'll do it without bailing out blue states. I think there is a theory that I could just do it without having to go back to Congress, but I think it would be appropriate to go back and I would ask Congress to approve it." Well, Congress fully gets back into session next week. Stay tuned. Senator Ted Cruz thinks the next bill is not likely. So we're getting maybes and not likely from the Republican side. Donald Trump says whether it happens or not, I'm going to do something, probably what we just outlined above. Senator Roy Blunt says, my guess would be that if we leave in September with a continuing resolution, we won't come back before the election. In other words, if we don't get something done now, we got a problem. Now let's talk about Democrats and what they had to say in the Senate. Chuck Schumer, Democratic Minority Leader, has said that Mitch McConnell's bill contains two poison pills that Democrats will not go for. One is school choice. Yesterday, when they released the bill and I saw school choice in there, I go, Democrats aren't going to go for that. That is a Ted Cruz bill that is being incorporated or sort of sucked into the skinny bill. And so school choice is going to be a hot potato for Democrats, and that's what Chuck Schumer said today, reiterating what I said yesterday. The whole corporate immunity thing and missing worker protections and consumer protections, Democrats are kind of right on this. The immunity that this skinny bill provides is pretty big. In fact, I completely broke down everything about my thoughts about the liability protections in the skinny bill in this morning's video. So if you want to see more about the liability protections, check out the video that I posted this morning on exactly this, and you'll get a complete breakdown on it. It's pretty rigid, and there is no consumer protection built into it or worker protection built into it. Certainly not what I saw. Chuck Schumer was then asked if he believes that a bill will eventually come together. His response was this. He said, look, Republicans did this with the CARES Act, and we ended up getting the CARES Act done. Now, they had to buy off 20 of their Republicans who will say no to anything at this point, but they're saying yes just to put in the effort or the appearance that they're voting for something. Chuck Schumer said that. Chuck Schumer believes that Republicans are putting this bill together just so they can go back to their districts before the election and say, we voted for a bill, Democrats didn't want it, but we tried. That's Chuck Schumer's point of view. Chuck Schumer did say this, though. He said, look, Republicans on the most recent bills here, Republicans started with $1 trillion, then they came up to $1.3 trillion, and yesterday Mnuchin suggested maybe even coming up to $1.5 trillion. Now, obviously, all of those numbers are pretty far detached from the $300 billion skinny bill that we have. I broke the whole thing down this morning. Check that out as well. Same video with the liability protections. But Chuck Schumer calls this bill a showpiece. He thinks this is a dead bill and it's not going anywhere. Which, in fairness, Republicans have said they plan to get something passed so they can start negotiating with it. And yeah, they're going to lose Republicans once they start adding on to the bill, but they hope that they'll be able to gain Democrats wherever they lose Republicans. So that's the weird strategy they got going on. It sounds stupid. It sounds really dumb. So let's just move on to AstraZeneca. Concerns that AstraZeneca's vaccine potentially causes transverse myelitis, where you can have inflammation of the spine or like symptoms like where your foot kind of or your leg drags behind you and some other ailments, which in some cases is not completely curable at all. Take a look at a stock video that I did this morning, Risks for a Stock Market Crash. I talked a lot about this vaccine thing within that video. Go check that out, along with many other risk factors. So if you're interested in stocks, that's a good video to watch. But anyway, the person who fell ill, fortunately, is already recovering at this point. So potentially, this was unrelated. Maybe they didn't actually have transverse myelitis. Who knows? I guess time will tell. But this is good/better news. In worse news, Halloween in Los Angeles is canceled. Apparently, the one holiday where people actually wear masks by choice is now being canceled. I wonder if this means we're still decorating this year. Welcome to California. Well, there you have it. Obviously, check out the coupon codes in the links down below, but I do want to quickly say a huge thank you to all of you for supporting the channel. I work over 15 hours per day just trying to research and provide the best quality content every single day, and it is exhausting. And so I try to provide you unique and proprietary information. I'm sure it's possible that somebody else is going to watch this video and say something similar tomorrow, but I always try to do my best to be the first and the most accurate because I I'm reading all day long and researching all day long. So if you appreciate condensed information, consider subscribing, consider joining for the perspective that you also get here, including realistic investing advice, real estate investing, stock investing, the psychology of money, the experience that I have working and helping build people's wealth. Folks, thank you so much. I couldn't do it without all of y'all, and thank you.